What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I would like to welcome you all to another edition of Wayne's Perspective, where we operate in discipline, decency, integrity, and respect. And I'm coming through with another video just for you. Before I get started, I hope everyone is doing okay out there, taking every day one day at a time, living life the best way you know how. As for me, y'all know how I do. I'm doing pretty good on this end, can't complain too much. I'm also taking every day one day at a time and living life the best way I know how as well. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and get started with today's video. But first, a couple of things. In a recent video, I did mention that in addition to working a full-time job, I've also returned to taking online classes as well, which is also going to be full-time. I'm going for a master's degree in political science and government at VUU, Virginia Union University. So in that regard, my schedule is going to be a little bit packed, all things considered. However, if I do have some additional time on my hands, I'll be more than happy to get out some videos to you all. And I do apologize for not being consistent as I was last year. So hopefully things will be changing within the next upcoming weeks, even though I do recognize and realize that my schedule is going to be packed going forward. Today's video is going to be another reaction video. This is going to be courtesy of Clay Kane. Shout out to him. And Mrs. Reese Colbert, shout out to her. And if you've been following my channel, you do know that when I do political videos, the majority of the time, I do react to them, not only because I like their content, but the majority of what they talk about and the majority of the things they say, I agree with. And plus, they line up with me politically because I do identify as a Democrat. And again, if you've been following me, you know that that's my political affiliation. And now when I think about it, I think that's what I'm going to do. So anytime I do react to something politically, I am going to do a reaction video with their content. And at the same time, if I do see something on my timeline or if I do see something that's worthy of a reaction from me, respectively, I'll get that up here too. And in the case of this video, it is about a month old. This is one where they talk about what happened when Kristi Noem was delaying the FEMA response to the Texas floods that took place and how much of a controversy that was. And even as I record this video, which is August 31st, 2025, not much was done. It's almost like it was a big story at the time. And then we just moved on. But I did think that looking back at this one and reacting to it, hey, it was relevant a few months ago and it's relevant now. So with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get my screen shared and we're going to take a look at this one. Fair usage for the video, fair usage. And again, shout out to Clay Kane and shout out to Mrs. Reese Colbert. Let's go ahead and get into it.
We're going to get a live report on the ground in Texas. And Administrator, just given your expertise on this and on these new rules that have been put in place to rein in federal spending, which obviously we know has been a big goal of the administration. But when you're actually on the ground in a moment like this and making those split-second decisions, what rules would something like this have meant for you in a moment like the floods in Texas and as that's happening?
Caitlin, I lived by one very simple principle, and that is time is our most precious commodity. You can never get time back. And so the quicker you can move resources into an area, even before you know the extent of it, then the easier it's going to be able to support those state requests for assistance immediately.
What really struck me there is that Secretary Noem has to do a sign-off.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was states' rights.
Mm.
And if she delayed Texas, what is she going to do if something goes down, I don't know, in New York,
Right.
in Maryland, in Washington State, in Oregon?
Mm-hmm.
This should be an international scandal.
That part right there. And I'm going to let them finish, of course. Now, let me start right off the bat and say that Kristi Noem, just like the majority of the people that's in Trump's cabinet, none of these people should be in the roles that they're in, especially Trump. But getting back to Miss Noem, she should not be in this position. And like Clay Kane said, this should be an international scandal of major proportions. But that wasn't the case a few months ago, and that's not the case now because we get on one controversy, talk about it for a few days, and then it's on to the next. But in this case, having a situation where she got to sign off on something, whereas a state is in need, and let's keep it real, y'all. It doesn't matter if it's a quote unquote blue state or a quote unquote red state. When an area needs help after a disaster, particularly flooding in this case, you send in help. It shouldn't matter what state you are or who voted for who and all of that. None of that should matter. When people need assistance, you give them help. Why add all the other extra stuff? Why even go there? And like he said, this would be an international scandal if this was anybody else. And God forbid if this was President Obama, President Biden, or if this was Kamala Harris. Just imagine how big the talking points would be if this happened under their watch and they decide to do nothing. It'll be a big damn news story and everybody would be talking about it every single day. But of course, when it's under Trump, none of that matters, right? It doesn't matter.
Right. It should be. You're right.
If Biden did this, if Obama did this, they would call for his impeachment.
There it is right there. Same thing I said.
Children are dead. People are dead. There should have been no delays. In our lifetime, Reese, we've lived through Hurricane Katrina. We've lived through Hurricane Andrew.
And as I record this, the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina was August 29th. So I just want to take this time right now to say that to all of those who were affected then, and of course 20 years later still affected by what took place, my heart goes out to you and your families. And for that level of human suffering, I would not wish that on my worst enemy. So to everybody who is still affected by that in some way, my heart goes out to all of you.
Yeah.
We've lived through Hurricane Sandy. This ain't some brand new shit. There's more data that came out that back in 2016, where this place Camp Mystic was, they knew that it was a dangerous flood zone. Go ahead, Reese.
First of all, what the fuck was Kristi Noem even doing? Bitch, that's your job. Like 72 hours after the flooding started is when you finally mosey your motherfucking ass around to signing off on authorizing this. But you have no problem being down at so-called alligator Alcatraz, putting on your makeup every day, going down to Seacot. But when it comes to American citizens drowning, where the fuck is you at? That's the first question. Like she should be required to resign immediately. That's egregious. Hundreds of people died because this administration has consistently put forth a policy of micromanaging, of having incompetent, stupid, dumb motherfuckers setting the policy with no sense of how to actually operate these agencies.
I agree with that 100%. And I've been saying this since November 2024. People are taking things for jokes, but when something touches you, things ain't going to be so funny no more. And people going to learn the hard way at some point. When people are dying, no matter what state it's in, that is not a joking matter. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter who you voted for. It doesn't matter who your political affiliation is. When people need help, you give them help. It's as simple as that.
I've read horrific stories about how by now at this point, it's the smell of the decomposing bodies that's helping people find the victims of this flooding. And so this was a policy choice by this administration to hamstring the government that has cost lives. There should be hearings. There should be investigations. Why they want to sit up there, they're trying to investigate people over the fucking 2020 elections, which Donald Trump lost. There need to be investigations. Kristi Noem, I want to see every single leader in the Democratic Party calling for her resignation.
And here's why I got to call out the Democrats on this one. Now, as of present time, there hasn't been anything regarding the hearing. There hasn't been anything regarding an investigation. Will that come? We shall see. But the Democrats should have been out front in calling for her resignation. I'm pretty sure some did, but as an entire party, that didn't happen. So if I had to take a guess, the only time we may see anything resembling a hearing and an investigation is if the Democrats get back into power by way of the House of Representatives during the midterms in 2026. And by some stretch of the imagination, I hate to say it that way, but some stretch of the imagination, they increase their numbers in the Senate to the point where they're in the majority. But we shall see.
Within the next week or so. Okay, fine. Maybe it might seem too soon to politicize this, but at a minimum, they should be calling for hearings.
And with that being said, I don't think it's too soon to politicize it, because by nature of this happening and by nature of what the Trump administration is, by that very nature, it is going to be political, whether it happens immediately or whether it happens a few days later. I get what she's saying, but it's going to be political. We can't get away from that.
So this is egregious. It's disgusting. It's unacceptable. And it is a strategic choice. If you want to be micromanaging Barbie, then have your motherfucking ass ready with the pen, by the computer, by your laptop, whatever. Everything is mobile. Then be on your shit. 72 hours. If somebody can't get in contact with me in 72 hours in my job, I'm fired. Okay.
Right.
So everything about this is wrong. And unfortunately, I don't even know if this administration is going to reverse course. I don't even know if the people, probably many of the victims who are in support of Donald Trump, will be enough to cause this administration to change course, because this was the plan. Project 2025, and the way that the plan was to gut these agencies, that plan was set in motion knowing full well this would be the outcome. And so What now? I don't know, but I know that this was deliberate. I know it was intentional.
Intentional, yes. Deliberate, yes. This was no mistake. They know what the hell they doing.
I do want to add here on this Texas special session they're going to do. I forgot to add, Abbott also wants to try to redraw congressional maps.
Yeah.
He's trying to redraw congressional maps, which is a blatant Trump move.
Mm-hmm.
Even with what Greg Abbott did, that was a big thing a few weeks ago. I'm not going to go into that right now. I may do that in another video regarding the reaction, but I'm going to just stay on topic with this one.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to bring in these THC regulations. You want to tweak abortion laws to protect mothers. That's what he's claiming. When this special session should be solely focused on disaster prep. But instead, you want to add on redrawing maps, abortion, and THC. So instead of fixing a broken flood system, you want to have a legislative session that somehow is about floods and fetuses and weed gummies. Okay.
That's because your white life does not matter. Your white life does not matter to these people. I'm sorry. It doesn't. Just like immigrants' life don't matter, trans life don't matter, black life don't matter, your white life doesn't matter either. They're telling you that. This is a fucking slap in the face. They're like, oh, okay, well, a bunch of white people died. Let's go ahead and sneak this other shit in here too. Are you fucking kidding me?
And you know the sad thing here is that you would think that with this level of incompetence and just the sheer volume, for the lack of a better word, of people just not giving a damn about the constituents that they serve, you would think that during the next election, you want to talk about sending people a message. Well, don't you think you want to send the Republicans a message? Why would you continue to elect Republicans when they act like this? Now, look, everybody should be doing more. I always said it in these videos. The Democrats, the Republicans, and the independents, everybody should be doing more. It shouldn't be just up to one political party. But at the same time, like I keep saying, why continue to reelect people when they act like this? They're not going to do anything different. They're not.
But this is who the Republican Party is. They show their ass and they tell you your life.
Your evangelical life don't matter.
Your evangelical life don't matter. These kids, children, babies, dead.
But then another point that I make is that, you see, when it comes to everybody else, it doesn't matter. But let their family get affected by something like this. Let it happen to them. That's when it becomes a priority. But as long as it's not them, it doesn't matter. We continue to live in such a selfish, self-centered, what have you done for me lately society. And that's going to be our downfall, along with everything else that's happening. I've been saying this for months and months now. And it seems like each week the level increases. We are just so selfish as a people.
My God.
And they can't stay focused. They can't stay focused for 5 seconds without spitting on people's lives. Oh, okay, well, cool. Well, why nobody looking? But this is America now. Why not? Why the fuck not? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Who gonna check them? Texas had natural fucking disasters. They had remember they had no water and shit, no electricity. You got this flood.
Hurricane Harvey.
Hurricane Harvey. Ted Cruz just got reelected when he was in Mexico when y'all motherfuckers was flooding that time. Why not? Why wouldn't they? Why would they do anything differently when they don't have to? And they are morally decrepit people who don't care about the lives, not just of their citizens, but they don't care about humanity at all. They care about regulating lives. Oh, but God forbid they regulate guns. God forbid they regulate corporations. God forbid they regulate emissions and other things that are causing this climate change. Marjorie Taylor Greene, not fucking lasers or whatever you're talking about. God forbid they do that. But on the graves and on the bodies still swimming in flood waters, they're going to turn around and implement policies that do not help the victims and will not prevent the next kind of disasters. There have been once in a lifetime, once in 1,000-year floods in 3 different cities just this week alone. I was in DC yesterday about to go to the movies. I was like, are we in a hurricane? I got tornado watching shit on my phone. But that's not where Republicans are focused.
This is once in a lifetime. Not anymore.
Not anymore. Now it's just Tuesday. Now it's Wednesday.
Exactly. That's just a weekday.
And what we have is an administration, a trifecta, in terms of at the federal level and courts that are all united in doing everything they can to undo the progress that we were making towards cutting back on climate change, undoing the kind of investments that Biden-Harris was making in things like infrastructure and things like disaster preparedness. They're hell-bent on that. And that's not going to change.
And look, do not be surprised if there's somebody out there who thinks that disaster preparedness is a woke thing. I mean, are you kidding me right now?
And we as a country have decided that that doesn't have to change.
All right. So we come to the end of that one. And again, shout out to Clay Kane and shout out to Reese Colbert. Great video. I'm going to end it on this note. Regardless to what you've been told, FEMA is critical. Is it another one of those agencies that could use some improvements? Because no agency is perfect. Oh yeah, definitely. But can somebody tell me how stripping them of funding helps anything? But most importantly, can anybody tell me how disaster preparedness and responses to a disaster, how that will work if there's no FEMA? Can anyone tell me how getting rid of FEMA at all is going to benefit anything? Can anybody tell me that? I'll be more than happy to hear what your thoughts are. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and close this video right now. If you like what you heard and you're ready to become part of Team Discipline, go ahead and hit that like button and drop some comments if you feel in the content. Definitely let me know your thoughts on this video. And last but not least, hit that subscribe button along with the bell so you're notified when I drop new videos. And until next time, my people, take care of yourselves. And remember, the power of the mind is valuable.